My biggest challenge in cycling was a traumatic brain injury. So I crashed really bad in a professional bike race, had to get life flighted out. That is nothing to take lightly. Broke my pelvis. I've broken most of the bones in my body, but I think the biggest challenge was dealing with a TBI and then, of course, subsequent concussions because my head is very sensitive. I could have been very angry at the bike because it almost killed me, but also it saved my life in a lot of ways because the people I met along the way and who I am now from pursuing sports at this highest level in the world.
In your travels, because you've done so much, but when you go through the milestones of your life, what are some of the things that stand out for you?
Sports became our language of love in a way. Like just be able to talk about that. He might not be able to tell me he loves me because he's, like he does love me or he did or does. Right. But but if you just get to ride a bike with somebody, you might not speak the same language, but you're riding a bike, you're running with somebody, you're doing a triathlon. I think it's just connecting with people around the world.
With Allison Tetrick, and I was telling her in the pregame, I just got done working out. We're going to talk about sports today. We're going to talk about physical fitness. We're going to talk about a cause celeb a little bit that she. Well, we'll get into it. But first, she's in beautiful. Are you in Petaluma right now?
I am. I live in Petaluma, California. So Sonoma County, Marin-ish area, but technically Sonoma. Gorgeous up here in Northern California.
Yeah. Were you raised out there?
Born and raised actually in Solvang, California. Or Los Alamos, technically, Santa Barbara County. And my parents are up in Redding now. But after college, I moved to the Bay Area and just kept moving north till I liked the weather and the people.
So pretty out there. That's, well, you ran the gamut almost of just going up the one. We say the one, Interstate 1 or whatever. It's not interstate. What is it? Just PCH.
We don't call it the PCH up here. It's just Highway 1.
Highway 1. And then I'm from LA, so I call it the one.
Yeah. No, we just call it Highway 1, I think.
Okay. Yeah. So what did your mom and dad do for a living that is trying to get the algorithm with you because you have a really, decorated, a life. So, I mean, were they into sports or what's their story?
Oh my goodness. My parents are adorable, super smart, intelligent, wonderful people. They're high school sweethearts. My dad played football for UCLA. Yep.
What year was that?
He played from 1974 to 1978.
Oh yeah.
Dick Vermeil was the coach that signed him. He was the number one pick there for UCLA. He was a big deal down there. They both grew up in Northridge. They high school sweethearts, went to college together. My mom's a phenomenal athlete, but prior to Title IX, as you know, so not a lot of college sports available for women at that time. Mm-hmm. But they just always had a dream of owning a cattle ranch. So graduated college, they have their own gigs in finance, stuff like that, investment stuff. But I grew up on a cattle ranch down in Los Alamos. So think sideways, but Santa Barbara County. And now they have a cattle ranch up in Redding, California. So Shasta County, real far north.
Oh, Shasta. Yeah, that's also very beautiful. Wow. You're just a total California coast girl along the whole coast there.
Absolutely. I love it.
So what's the incipient stages of your career in sports? What did that look like?
So it's the start of my career is interesting because growing up on a cattle ranch, kind of in the middle of nowhere. So it's going into town, it takes 30 minutes to go anywhere, to get your mail, to go to school, et cetera. So I grew up kind of just a little wild out on a ranch, thinking I was Xena warrior princess on a horse and running around. So I didn't play a lot of organized sports until I had to go to high school. And I went to high school and I started playing tennis. And I said, I'm going to get a full ride to college to play tennis. I want to be an athlete. And everyone's like, well, that's too young. You're too old to have started tennis. Sure enough, I get a full ride to go play NCAA tennis in Texas. I graduate and I'm still competitive because I had a very short little blip of playing a competitive sport that I knew I'd never be the best in the world at. And then it was my grandfather, interestingly enough, my dad's dad, who didn't start cycling until his 50s because he's a veteran, and he got drafted at 18. He was a contractor down in LA and he was a bike racer, which I thought was the dorkiest thing ever. Mm-hmm. my grandpa is like wearing these like neon colors and like racing bikes. He's like, Al, you should race bikes. I picked it up and he raced well into his 80s. Unfortunately, he's passed away, but the guy is like a 17-time national champion for his age groups here in the US. And I started racing bikes, and a couple of months later, I'm at the Olympic Training Center, and yeah, that's been 15 some years, and I am a professional cyclist.
Wow. What an interesting, origin story you have. I mean, I'm still trying to think how many times I cheered for your dad at UCLA when I was a kid. So
We have the Rose Bowl game ball at our house. Like he got like this is in the heyday, I think. It's amazing.
it
Yeah. I still have
was.
his jersey. Yeah.
I could see the baby blue jerseys now and that whole thing. So, well, what was that first of all, you went to the Olympics for cycling?
Not technically the Olympics. I was a national team member, so Team USA. I went to Pan American Games, World Championships, medaled at World Championships. And then when I switched to gravel, I'm the 3-time world champion in gravel cycling now, but also I'm a biochemist and have a graduate degree in a lot of things. I do a lot of other things besides sports, but sports though are like such a conduit of just determination, and you're good at task management, grit. And I mean, shoot, sports are therapy.
Well, no, okay, let's get into your cycling career, though. I want to go because that was the big part, and then we want to get into other stuff. But I mean, what was your biggest challenge with that?
My biggest challenge in cycling was a traumatic brain injury. So I crashed really bad in a professional bike race, had to get life flighted out, which that is nothing to take lightly. Broke my pelvis. I've broken most of the bones in my body, but I think the biggest challenge was dealing with a TBI and then, of course, subsequent concussions because my head is very sensitive, which is why I went to grad school to enter a PhD program on neuropsychology. But it was coming back. So it's the injuries people glorify and they sound super gnarly because you don't want to get life flighted out. My dad was there to watch me race. I was up in Oregon. And, he gets to the hospital before my helicopter lands and I don't remember anything. But that was a big challenge. But I think it's the recovery because I came back and I was fast, and I'm trying to qualify for the Olympics. I'm on the long team, all these things. And it turns out I just wasn't healthy. So like what looks fast on the outside, on the inside was dark and very hard. And so for me to be able to separate my identity as just like laser focused in these like Olympic dreams and professional dreams to be like, I also need to focus on myself, invest in myself. And I'm so much more. I'm a daughter. Now I'm a wife, I'm a sister. I am like a scientist. I'm a cowgirl. Like I am all these things that like matter more than just the performance. So that was a big challenge. But once that happened, I retrained my brain to think that sport is a joy and it's fun, but to keep investing in your health and overall wellness. And so you're a good person, like in and out of your craft of sports, which was me is a bike.
Yeah. Well, let's go back real quickly. I don't want to sweep that under the rug. What the accident? How did it happen?
It was a descent. We had just won the Giro d'Italia and on the national team. So I was on Team USA and that was a big deal. And we came back to race in the US and I'm feeling like a little confident, like I'm like, come on, we just won this big bike race where, and it was just a descent. I was going 45 miles an hour downhill and just a woman, unfortunately, just made an error of judgment, not her, happens in sports. You do not blame these people. But it happened. And I went from 45 miles to 0 and I didn't slide. So that's the problem. Like no blood, didn't tear anything. So when you slide, like that's heat. Like heat is dissipating from the impact. So you can I didn't lose, like I just hit and like I hit my head and my body. So I broke all these bones and then I hit my head real hard.
Oh my God. Wow. How long was the recovery?
That's a good question because what day is it today?
Really? So let's let's just do a small inventory of that. Like the injuries and what's still what's still lingering or when was that? And where are we at today?
Well, that was 2010. I crashed again at the Pan American Games in 2011. Cycling does involve crashing, unfortunately. I also got hit by a truck this year, like last year, I guess, while riding. And I'm not trying to be negative on cycling, but there's a lot of, risk that you're putting yourself into. So recovery for me is on a lot of mental health research, especially for how concussions, traumatic brain injuries affect women, because there's hormones and there's things that we haven't studied. And so recovery is just a daily process of taking better care of myself, surrounding myself with, positive people, accountability partners. But there was depression and anxiety, PTSD, and like the mental health side of things is really hard. And it's things that I still struggle with. So like if I want to go to Monster Trucks this weekend, I don't really, but I might.
Yeah.
I'm talking full on headphones because like loud noises, loud lights, like driving at night. If I get overstimulated, that can really affect me. And then the mental health side of things.
Right.
But if you work with a good team and you surround yourself with people you trust and you love, recovery is every day. And my husband can see when I am struggling with something, and he's okay with it. He gives me grace and acceptance. And that's also for me to give myself grace and acceptance.
Right. Sure. Those are stepping stones. So, physically, pains still, like here and there.
Oh, yeah. If you have bone spurs on a broken pelvis, I'll tell you, sitting on a bike saddle is not the most comfortable thing because if you shatter your entire pelvis, but luckily I race for Specialized and we developed some more comfortable saddles, especially for women. But looking on how to deal with these issues that can happen to people. But yeah, a lot of pain. And chronic pain's interesting too, because that also affects your outlook on life sometimes.
Right, right. Specialized, I know that name. They're like the biggest aren't they the biggest in the race bikes?
They're the biggest in my heart, and they're pretty darn big. Yes.
Okay. All right. So, where are you at today? What's going on in your life right now, in your career and your personal life? I mean, you don't tell me like every detail of your personal life, but just give us kind of a scope.
I am in a wonderful place in my career because I've raced for so long. I'm madly in love with my husband, so that's really nice to have a supportive partner. I love to ride my bike. I also love to give back to the community that gave me so much. So when you're at this part of your career, it's fun because you have a little more confidence to be like, oh, I don't have to be everything, but what can I do with what I have? And so I'm trying to get more kids and girls on bikes, make cycling more inclusive, and create opportunity for people to come into this sport and develop that. Because at one point in your career, you reach it and you look back and you go, okay, what can I do and how can I be better? Like, where's the purpose? And it's such a fun place to be. I can go and crush on my bike and ride fast, but I also can mentor and create a movement to this, women's sports right now is having such a good movement. And like watch the femme, it's this big thing to watch, like the Tour de France Femme avec Zwift. And it's so fun. It's so fun to be still like very a part of it, but also be able to give back, because I could have been very angry at the bike because it almost killed me. But also it saved my life in a lot of ways, because the people I met along the way and who I am now from pursuing sports at this highest level in the world.
How has it changed since when you started to, what's different about, the biking industry now?
Well, as you know, from just any following sports anywhere in the world, women's sports are having a movement or a moment, which is very well deserved for a long time. Coming from tennis, I didn't know there was really disparity because I had people before me like Billie Jean King, and then I enter cycling and I'm like, what in the world is going on? Like, I grew up on a ranch where my dad and my mom are like, you can be president, you can do whatever you want. And then suddenly you actually have to go to school, like high school. And I was like, oh, I can't. Like I was pretty convinced I'm going to go back to Xena Warrior Princess. But so watching the sports evolve. So now in cycling, especially, there's minimum pay, which is amazing, which the men have had for many years.
Mhm.
We have races coming on like sponsors like Zwift for the Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift that are investing in the sport, that are seeing ROI in their company.
Mhm.
And in cycling, especially, so the minimum pay, I was just watching the Vuelta Feminine on TV this morning
Mhm.
on Peacock. Like when I was racing, I mean, you were following me on Twitter. Like, I am doing the hardest races of my life. And if you wanted to follow me, you're just like, there's hopefully some Belgian super fan on the side of the road that's just like
Right.
live tweeting. And now we're, it's being showcased where visibility is viability. So if we show it, people will watch. And then also the younger generation, if they see it, they can be it. And another cool thing that's happening in cycling side of things, these teams are offering maternity leave,
Oh,
which is
nice.
yeah.
Meet the Bolo Pack, the ultimate travel companion that transforms into a hammock, a pop-up tent, and even a cooler. Whether you're hiking, camping, or chilling at the beach, the Bolo Pack has you covered. First up, the Bolo Pack is a sleek, compact backpack, perfect for day trips or long adventures. Need a break? With a simple pull, the Bolo Pack transforms into a relaxing hammock, perfect for catching your breath during hikes. Planning to spend the night? The Bolo Pack also converts into a pop-up tent, giving you shelter wherever you go. And the best part? The Bolo Pack doubles as a cooler, keeping your food and drinks fresh for hours. Let me show you how easy it is to switch between modes. First, the hammock. Just a few simple steps, and you're ready to relax. Next, the pop-up tent for quick shelter setup. And finally, the cooler function, ensuring you stay refreshed on the go. From day hikes to weekend getaways, the Bolo Pack adapts to your needs. Whether you're chilling, camping, or keeping your snacks cool, ready to upgrade your travel game? Get your Bolo Pack today and take your adventures to the next level. Link in the description.
In your travels, because you've done so much, what are some of the things that stand out, the milestones that stand out? Of course, your injury, that's a milestone, whether it's negative or positive, But when you go through the milestones of your life, what are some of the things that stand out for you?
I think it's just connecting with people around the world, and sports bring people together. And you just got done working out, you're a little sweaty, and you know what, I'm not judging you, I put on makeup to be here, but whatever. But you, like, when you're traveling, you're connecting with like-minded people that believe in the same thing, which is that we're a little nuts, but we embrace and accept the nuts of that. If you go to, like, I lived in Spain for a couple of years. I've lived in Italy. I've lived in France. I got to race my bike in Iceland. I mean, it's so cool. But you go to all these different countries and cultures, and then there's this red line of just, we are all just in love with being outside and being in sports. And then regardless of language barriers, what the terrain looks like, where you are in the world, sports is just this nucleus of, holy cow, like, we're in this together. And also that can spread into business. And, you can do business deals, you can be successful in other endeavors besides sports, but sports is such a nucleus in there. So I guess it's a universal language. And I think as I travel, I realize that sports are bringing us all together. And we talked about my grandfather earlier, and being a veteran and having a really tough life for a long time, sports became our language of love in a way. Like, just be able to talk about that. He might not be able to tell me he loves me because he's, like, he does love me, or he did or does. But,
Right.
but if you just get to ride a bike with somebody, you might not speak the same language, but you're riding a bike, you're running with somebody, you're doing a triathlon, you're swimming. I don't know. What other sports are there besides bikes? I don't know. Just kidding.
It's funny because to me, it's just a way of life, to where I can't imagine not working out every day and being active every day, going outside, and just, but I know there are people that just like, that just don't, they're not active. They're not physical. They're not into, that. I was like, wow, that's just so different. That's okay. I'm not judging them, but I do think that you're more in your natural state when you are, outside, when you're exercising, when you're, doing something that's physically, that's what we're supposed to do. Hunter, gatherer, whatever. If you want to go back, way back, what's the long-term plan for you? Like when you do plan out like I like to ask people, what's your 5 to 10 to 15, plan? Do you plan out that far ahead? And if so, or do you have an idea what you're going to do? What's the long-term picture?
Oh man, you're just like, it's 9:21. Long-term plan is something my grandfather taught me. And of course, my parents and, people I surround myself with is, sports are life. And you don't always have to be at the top level of the game. You don't have to be competing for the Olympics or professionally, but just like movement's medicine. So long term is sports are a part of my life. And whether it's working for clients that I have in their sports marketing budget, brand activation, but sports bring people together. And so long-term plan is bikes and outdoor activities are my life. My husband and I just signed up for a marathon, for instance, and I don't like really run. So
well, you're going to run now. You're going to run a lot.
Well, I'll still ride my bike. Like I still ride my bike over 20 hours a week. So like I got to figure out how to fit that in. But I think the long-term plan is to make sure that I am fostering the next generation because sports change lives. And especially for women, a lot of women, young women quit sports between the ages of 12 and 14, which is for obvious reasons that we don't need to just say, but there's injuries, there's hormones, there's all sorts of things. And so I would like to change the fact to encourage more young women to start sport. It does not have to be cycling, just sport, and then stay in it because our future leaders kind of depend on that. Mm. So I want to keep being involved in that aspect. And it doesn't have to be about being competitive in sport. It's just that physical activity, healthy living. I'm a biochemist by trade, for goodness sakes, and I became a professional cyclist. So it's not that. So in 5 years, hopefully I'm still here in Petaluma. I love it. I love my husband. We have a company together. He also works besides just like working with me, which is a full-time job. And just, keep giving back to that future generation, building a platform and adding to the embers to the flame there, and making a difference, because that's what success is to me, is making a difference and having a purpose while staying true to who I am and not losing yourself in that process.
Biochemistry. Let's talk a little bit about that. Is there anything going on with you in biochemistry right now? What are your sweet spots? What do you have to say about that?
Oh man, I worked in chemistry research and drug discovery for Amgen for a long time. And then I moved into the more marketing, corporate affairs side, advocacy. And I think science is awesome. I love science. So I'm very data driven. I love the research side of things. And you just met me, but you can tell I am a little more gregarious than most scientists you probably have met. Right. So me in a lab was fun for me, maybe not for anyone's like sharing a lab bench. So, but there is so many amazing studies that I am personally working with, and so many leaders in this space are working on just studying female anatomy, physiology, chemistry in that side of the research, and just like how hormones affect an athlete, or like especially for female, like on concussions is big. Also, through birth control to postpartum to menopause. I mean, these studies are decades behind. So I'm super into that to see how we can increase research on females.
It's funny. On my other podcast a few years back, I interviewed somebody. She's an athlete. She specializes, I think she was from Australia or New Zealand. She specializes in
Stacey Sims.
Yeah.
We spoke to Congress a couple months ago together.
Oh yeah. She's been on the podcast. Fascinating. She specializes in women in sports and how the biochemistry of their body is unique to and no one was exploring that. She's kind of like a pioneer, right? In that.
She's been amazing. She was my teammate on my first professional cycling team I was ever on. Stacy and I are good friends, but she was holding up this flame, and she got so many people into this, which is so fun in this part of my career, that we got to go to Washington, D.C. and talk about it, like in front of Congress, and then also to the Department of Defense. And, like it so goes outside of sports, but like, what can we learn from female athletes? And I find that fascinating.
Is she from Australia or New Zealand?
She's Kiwi. Yeah.
Okay. She's in New Zealand. Okay, great. Yeah. I knew that was okay. Right. Okay. So, as we speak, my younger daughter, she's 15. She's playing tennis in a tennis tournament right now, today.
I love tennis.
And my other daughter, that she played soccer cross country. My other daughter, who's she's 18, she played soccer throughout her whole childhood. And I think that it takes wonderful, smart, formidable. When you say I just met you, I find you formidable in a great way.
Thank you.
You said this Xena, and like on a horse, and then remember like the blonde girl like in 18 was it the Yellowstone spinoff? That's it's nice. What was it, 1893 was it?
Yeah.
And I think that you need these patriarchs like yourself to push things along, because there is cobwebs there, whatever you want to call it. There's this weird society idiosyncrasies of like why women are not like, and you're a great spokesperson for that. I salute you. Right. So let's do a top five. I always like to do this, I just came up, I don't always do it, but I think it would be great. What are the top 5 ways that you can excel as a female athlete? It's probably universal for an athlete in general, but let's just talk about female athlete.
Number 1, show up. Mm-hmm. I think people glorify finish lines way more than they should, and start lines can be very terrifying. And so show up not only for yourself, but for others. People have ego and get I don't know, you kind of like, sometimes you hide it, right? But you just show up to the start line. You might not win. You might be terrified. You might not finish, but the courage it takes to show up for your friends, for yourself is really important. Don't quit, because life's not perfect. We fail, we fall, we crash, we succeed. There's so many hard things that can happen, but don't quit. And sometimes, though, not quitting is you taking a day off for yourself. Mm-hmm. So the other thing I think would be grace and acceptance, because you need to give yourself those times to rest. Also accept things that you might not appreciate, but accept the current situation. And then I guess I would go into number 4 would be being flexible to change and pivot, because life is hard and can throw you some curveballs. And that doesn't mean that you're not a good person and you're not trying your best. It just means the world is imperfect and you're imperfect, and we all are, but you're going to try your best. But I don't like try your best. And then I'll go into the 5 is assume everyone's doing their best, and so are you. Like you only can do the best you can. And like I said, some days for me, that's staring at a wall. Like my husband will walk in, he's like, "Are you going to go train?" I'll be like, "I don't know. This wall looks amazing." Like I'm tired. And then, and people can be nasty throughout life. And that's like, I think, like, assume everyone's doing your best, but most importantly, assume you are doing your best. And that can look different on the specific day that you're at, but there's forward progress. Taking care of yourself is really important. Oh no, I'm making a 6 because this one's very important to me. Sorry, I forgot this. Yeah. You did that really quick. You're a quick talker and I'm a quick talker, and I'm having a hard time keeping up. I
got the ADHD. I'm hyper.
Me too. I'm fine. Did you notice?
All right. Well, that's why we get along.
I know. But
I'm like, I like this person. Change
I know. I was like, can we talk for the next hour and a half? You gave me the time construct. So but I think the biggest thing, so in sports, we're gonna show up, we're gonna grace and acceptance, you're gonna like assume you're doing your best. But I think one of the most important things is to find goals that inspire you. And in society, it's not female centric, it's for anybody. Like, you can talk a marathon, a triathlon, being a CEO, whatever, but like find goals that inspire you and not everybody else. Because if I don't want to do something, but I'm told like, if you did this, you would be amazing. And you can do it, but you're showing up and you're just tummy like, it's like, I don't know. But so it's find goals that inspire you, and they might not be what society, your friends, like, and these are even the trusted people that we put around, but they might be like, you're so good at this, you should do this. And you want to, because there's gold stars and glitter at the end of it. But what actually makes your heart sing? And it might not be what people are telling you.
Again, the top 5, in this case, the top 6 are like, are applicable, not just to what we're talking about specifically, they're applicable to anything. The one thing that really, stood out for me that was unique, and it's so simple, but staring at a wall, sometimes you have days, and I feel guilty, because I'm like, what am I getting done right now? I'm like, and then there's days where you're not going to get anything done, and you choose not to. And you're like, you know what? Accept it, because that'll help you to like move on when you do need to be productive the next day, and not beat yourself up for not being productive that day.
I think that's like one of the most important parts where I'm just still trying to learn, to be honest. When I want to stare at a wall, if I'm staring at a wall for 3 hours and I spend an hour and a half staring at the wall, beating myself up that I'm not writing that email I didn't want to do, I'm not running, I'm not riding, I'm not calling my mom, all these things that in my head are like, you need to be doing this. You're actually then not staring at a wall. You're just like punching yourself in the face.
Yeah.
So instead, like stare at the wall and be like, this is awesome. We should probably get that wall painted.
Very nice. Allison Tetrick, it was very thoroughly satisfying to talk to you. Tell your dad that I'm a big fan, even though I have to go back now. And I was remember what number?
Steve Tetrick. He was number 73, 5, or 8. Oh shoot.
You said he was a cornerback or a quarterback?
No, he was not the quarterback. He was actually a tight end.
Okay. Yeah.
And then he went into nose guard.
All right. Yeah.
He was a running back at LA Baptist.
Okay.
Which is under Markham. I don't know if you know the whole, like Coach Markham did a whole thing in the football era there. What was it called? Anyway. And so he got recruited as a running back, but he had to gain 100 pounds, and he ended up becoming a nose guard.
Yeah. Well, the good old days, the late 70s. Yeah.
Smash mouth football. That's what Markham did. And it was back in the Pop Warner days.
Oh, yeah.
It's called smash mouth football.
They use that term all the time, smash mouth football.
Yeah. Well, that's right there in LA. You should look it up.
I will now that, there's a lot of things to look up after talking to you. Allison Tetrick, what a wonderful, lineage you come from, and you're carrying the torch very beautifully. So thank you for sharing. Tell everybody how they can find out more about you.
Yes. You can follow me online. I'm on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, AM Tetrick, AMTETRICK. And if you have any interest in getting more girls and kids on bikes, we do sell some bandanas that go fully to scholarships. Basically just Google Allison Tetrick bandanas, and Allison has one L, ALISON TETRICK, and find me on all the socials, AMTETRICK.
I will send you out with one thing that just remembered. My oldest daughter, she's 18-year-old. She's got blonde hair, just like you. And I call her a yellow-haired warrior, a reference to Kill Bill. So you're a yellow-haired warrior, and I thank you for sharing.
Thank you. Good luck being a girl dad.
Oui.
Thanks for joining us. Gear up for your next adventure and head over to Bolotor.com to check out the amazing Bolo Pack and their other innovative outdoor gear. Catch you next time.